Hey, witches!
Hi, hello, and welcome. Of course, I'd start yawning. Uh,
Right
to-
at the moment.
Today, we are going to be talking about cryptids, specifically wyvern and dragons. Is it wyverns or is it like one of those like
I think
fish
it's wyvern.
fishes?
Like, yeah,
Yeah, like one of those things where it could be either or. But anyways, we're going to be talking
like
about
deer.
the two different types of um winged creatures. Reason why is we're about to end Iron Flame, and those are two fearsome creatures that are consistently battling. So why not? Even if you
Yeah.
don't read Iron Flame, or even if you're not, an avid reader and you're just in it for the cryptids, this is still a pretty cool thing, and it was easy for us to pick this time around.
Yes.
So yeah, Brandy, take it away with your
Okay.
wyvern.
So, wyvern, it depends on the different sources. There's not a lot of sources. Um, and I'll explain why here in a few minutes. But
Pretty sure.
wyvern, well, wyvern in many cases are considered a type of dragon. Um, but I'm going to start out by talking about the physical characteristics and like their habits and where they live and that kind of thing. Um, so they're smaller than a dragon, but they're still super aggressive and fierce, and almost more so because they're smaller. Um, they have the same type of head as a dragon, usually with horns and like spikes and scales and all of that. They typically have a forked tongue, like a snake, and they're scaly, and obviously they have wings. Um, and usually on the ends of their wings, like they have two legs, but like their wings are almost like arms, and they have like claws on the end of their wings that they can use to like walk on and to pick things up and things like that. Um, but also in some depictions, especially in Asian cultures, specifically Japan, um, they're called Ryu, and they don't have wings at all. They just fly by
Mm.
magic.
I actually talk about that.
Yeah,
Well, not too much, just a little bit,
yeah,
because that kind of crosses over into dragon territory too.
yeah. Yeah, there's two different Japanese symbols that both mean Ryu, which are pronounced Ryu, which translates, one of them translates into like winged serpent, and the other one translates into dragon. Um, but I don't know. It's interesting. But they like to live near water, which makes sense, like most creatures do. Um, but specifically in like mountainous areas, they like to live in caves, or they will create their own caves on the sides of mountains. They'll like dig into the mountain with their little wing claws.
I
Um,
just think gophers.
yeah, kind of. And they like to eat like underground creatures. So they like to eat like gophers and bats and what else lives underground? I can't even think right now. Bunnies, I guess. But they'll also go for whatever's easy to catch. So it specifically mentioned children. Like if there are just children out and about, those are easy prey. And if that's all they can find at the moment, they'll eat them.
I wonder if that was like one of those things that parents back in like medieval time, or like
I would
even
like
in
tell.
like other cultures, just like, if you are out past this time, or if you go past the railing or whatever, the wyvern are gonna get you.
Probably somewhere.
It's like the boogeyman.
All right. Um. So, except a lot of academic sources agree that a wyvern was never like it's not in any bestiaries. It's not in any like historic documents, except as like it says a heraldic creature, basically meaning it's on like family crests or suits of armor. Um, and it's like different sources argue that that is all it ever was just a beast to put on people's crests to make them more intimidating. But there are a couple of more quirky academic sources that are also like, but is it like the an either an iteration or like a evolution of like pterodactyls? Because they're supposed
Mm-hmm.
to have like bird-like feet and be skinnier than dragons. So it's like, were they like a type of dinosaur? I don't know. Could be like,
I like the idea that all dinosaurs, instead of having scales like people once believed, they all had like feathers.
uh huh. It makes the most sense too. Like
Like if
considering like
if
birds are direct descendants.
if T Rex, if the T Rex is closely related to birds, hummingbirds, chickens, whatever the fuck, I w-
It just makes sense that it would have had feathers.
clo- yeah. If
Maybe
it
not
if it
all
if they
over,
had
but like,
yeah, kind of like how in Darna when like she had
yeah,
some some feathers and then like some scales, but mainly like feather tail, like a feather tail.
yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. So there was one source and just one source, and it was on a blog. So like take this with a very big grain of salt. But there was one source that because I couldn't corroborate it, I tried to find another source that said it. That said, according to some myths, wyvern are terrified of naked people. Like they're very prudish creatures.
I love that.
Um, but if you think about the like origins, like most of the earlier mentions of wyvern were Japanese,
Hmm.
and then crossing over into like medieval times, they move into Europe. But I feel like the Japanese culture, especially earlier Japanese culture, was very like modest. So it makes
Yeah,
sense to me that they would have that be a
they're
part
very
of their monster.
traditional. Yeah, very traditional, very honorable kind of
Yeah.
traditions.
So it makes sense that they wouldn't like to look at naked people. I don't know. Um, okay. Then it talked about two different, or a different source talked about two different kind of wyvern. There are fire wyvern and ice wyvern. Um, and is actually very much debated about whether wyvern could ever breathe fire. Um, obviously, in different pop culture things, they do. They do in Iron Flame. Um, but the sources that did say that they were able to breathe fire said that it's not continual fire like a dragon, but like short, like fireballs,
Hmm.
like short, small bursts of fire. And those ones are typically red and yellow, your fire colors. And then there are ice wyvern that are blue, white, green, gray, or black. Um, and they are usually um, they're similar to fire wyvern, but they have slightly different shapes. Like their mouth, they have like a underbite. Their lower jaw is longer than their upper jaw. And they are, I don't know, it's like a pelican almost is what I'm imagining.
They're the they're the cute donkeys of the horse world.
Like yeah. Um and they have more spikes. And instead of a barb on their tail, they have spikes down their tail. And then in some legends, wyverns are like super intelligent creatures and they're able to speak with humans like out loud, not just telepathically like in most legends. I thought that I was going to be overrun with pop culture wyvern references. I was not. um, I
We
did
could
put on
talk.
here.
Oh,
Well, I'm
go
going to
ahead.
talk about Fourth Wing, obviously.
Well, I was
Um,
gonna say, I think you're gonna talk about what I think you're gonna talk about.
the first thing that I did put on here, because I feel like it's kind of pop culture, is that as early as the 8th century, wyverns started appearing on English war banners. That's pop culture. It's ancient pop culture, but it's pop culture. Um, they are in Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, Dragonlance, Monster
Yeah,
Hunter,
they are.
Ark, like lots of video games. And then obviously in certain fantasy novels there are wyvern as well. And
Very
arguably
true.
including Game of Thrones, but we're not going to have that debate today.
She's not the mother of dragons.
Right. Well, honestly, if you read the description of the dragons in the books and then look at the dragons in the show, they are wyvern. They are not dragons. But that is not a soapbox that I'm here to stand on today. Um, but the whole reason we chose these creatures to talk about today is because they are in Fourth Wing.
Hmm.
Um, and they are pretty well portrayed in Fourth Wing, exactly how I've described them. They have two legs instead of four.
They're
They
gray, greenish,
Yeah, they're usually
or
gray. They're smaller
okay.
than regular dragons. They're less intelligent than regular dragons. They do shoot fire, and it doesn't like say that they're limited in their fire in Iron Flame, but um, they are also vicious. I also read another series, and I cannot for the life of me right now think. I listened to the audiobook of what the series is right now, but in that series, um, everyone who went to the island of Avalon had to pass the angel trials to get to Avalon. And part of the angel trials was picking their like magical mount. And so you either got a unicorn or a wyvern. Um, and that's basically it. But most of the people
If I had to choose between a dragon and a fucking horse, I'm going for a dragon. I don't care if it's a
I
wyvern. I don't care what it is.
yeah, I am inclined to agree. The main character in the book did choose a unicorn. Um, because she thought she had to fight it and she thought she had a better chance of fighting a unicorn, but then she found out that she just got to keep the unicorn basically. Anyway,
If the
and
unicorn popped out, they'll be like, "This is yours." I'll be like, "Okay, I changed my mind."
You're right, because it's not
Like
even like
if
a Pegasi unicorn. It's just a regular unicorn. It can't
like
fly.
if anyone's ever seen Schitt's Creek, and I've never seen it. I just see the brothers' reactions to
Oh my
everything. Like
god.
when he's
Yes.
like the ew.
You need to watch it, first of all, because it is the fucking best, but also, yes.
I like a little bit of Alexis.
Yes. Yes. It's amazing.
Ew, David.
Ew, David.
She only says it like once or twice. It's just like her thing though. It's so funny.
She says it a lot.
She said she didn't in an interview. She's like, I don't really say it a lot.
I feel like she says it like 3 or 4 times at least. But
But
it's
like
so
throughout the
perfect
whole
when she
show.
does say it. Yeah, yeah, across all like 7 seasons. But still,
Yeah.
like, it's amazing. It's my comfort show. It's the show that I turn on when I'm like having a bad day. Like, I love that show. Um, but anyway, back to the wyvern. Um, and also in that series, it's really pissing me off that I can't think of what it's called right now. Because it's like multiple spin-off series. Oh, I think it's called the first book is called The Angel Trials, actually, by Rachel Maddow, maybe like that, maybe something like that. I don't know. Rochelle Maddow, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, in that series, there are wyvern that are just like creatures, and then there are dragons, but the dragons are shifters. So the dragons are humans who can shift into dragons.
Michelle Maddow.
Michelle Maddow. Yes. Who is Rachel Maddow? There is a Rachel Maddow. Where am I getting that from?
Mm.
Isn't no? I think it's like an NBC correspondent or something like that. Maybe I don't know, like a news person.
MSNBC TV show host.
Yeah. Anyway, Michelle Maddow is the author of those series, and there's like 4 or 5 different spinoff series, and I recommend them if you like. They're not spicy though, but they're pretty good. So, anywho, wyvern are mythical creatures in there, and dragons are shifters, which was interesting.
Yeah. So I do have that basically. Sorry, if were you
Yeah,
done?
that's no, I'm good. That's it. I'm done.
I didn't want to start my spiel if you weren't done. So yeah, I have that. Dragons are mythical creatures that appear in a lot of different cultures actually. The Middle Eastern cultures, Russian culture, the Western culture, not like American culture, like the European Western culture.
Yeah,
There is some that are believed to have been like a mixture in the Hispanic, the Latino culture, specifically like the Aztec area. Um, there are like obviously the Asian cultures. Dragons are a huge I wouldn't say belief system, but a huge
just like part
monument.
of their culture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a part of it. Um, but they are throughout all of time, regardless of their significance in time. They are there. They have been described as monsters, serpents, reptiles, and beasts. They are magical, or something about them are magical. That has intrigued people over the centuries. They are usually thought to have wings and to breathe fire, not like the small bursts of fire, but like a consistent stream. They are said to have scales and claws. Some have horns, some do not. Some believe that they are venomous and some do not. Some dragons may or may not have two heads. There is a story, a I guess it's a tale from Russia of a three-headed dragon. Some have more than one tail. They might even have more than two legs. In Greek culture, there is a serpent. It's not necessarily a dragon, but it is similar to a dragon. It is called the Hydra. It has multiple heads. Dragons are said to eat things such as rats, birds, snakes, bats, or even humans, especially children, livestock. Dragons are known to be very intelligent creatures. They live in remote areas, however, very far away from humans, specifically in places that are dark, damp, and secluded, specifically caves. So if you are out exploring and you see a huge cave, there's a dragon in it. If you were back in the medieval times, that's probably what you were thinking back then. They were first believed to have lived in water. So like the Loch Ness monster, some believe that if it were to be removed from water, it might have some wings. I actually read that once. I was like, why? Why would it have wings? It lives in the water. It should have webbed feet. And some like there I found like some obscure article saying that it's like part dragon. And I was like, okay, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I cannot go down this rabbit hole right now. I need to get off. Um but anyways, so they were first believed to be specifically sea serpents, but they were later became associated with fire. But sea serpents have been known to be the first dragons and have been, the first reason for this association. Most dragon stories, the dragons are portrayed as the villain. So they're going to be the keeper of the castle, the keeper of a treasure hoard. Those who are like, they eat townspeople. They terrorize. You know, they burn everything up. But in some cultures, that's not necessarily the case. So, the East and the West have very different ideas about it. The West obviously believe, or have a lot of folklore about dragons being scary, vicious, uh, evil kind of creatures. But not so much, dragons when you go towards the East. So, dragons of the East are used in ceremonies and parades. So they also have like the year of the dragon in Chinese zodiac. Um, they The thing about the west or the eastern dragon is that they don't fly. They don't have wings. But they do symbolize heroism and not so much danger or like a threat. They're more of a protector than they are of a villain. So like when you read about, not even read, but when you watch the Disney movie Mulan, the Great Stone Dragon, he was supposed to be the protector of the Fa family. And Mushu, the mini little dragon, was supposed to wake him up so he could go protect Mulan while she was off at war. Clearly, that wasn't the case. There's a lot of speculation that actually the Great Stone Dragon was awoken in Mulan herself, and she was actually the spirit of that. That was a different rabbit hole I went down one time. Um, but so that's the kind of idea that the Eastern cultures have. So very protected, very not evil whatsoever, very revered in their culture. So it's like a good luck symbol in a way. Um, it's about wealth and that dragons can bring to people of China, Japan, all of that kind of stuff. It's great respect. So when you go to China, you will actually see a bunch of dragons in their sculptures, in their paintings, in a lot of their different like artwork. Now, if you go to the Western culture, you're gonna see, like Randy said, a lot of it on their family crests. You're gonna see a lot of it to like scare people because the Western culture believed it to be more scary and terrifying. Um, let's see. There are multiple different things. I kind of focused more on like the Celtic mythology idea, mainly because majority of the dragons that we encounter in Iron Flame has a more Gaelic name. So like more of a Celtic background. So I kind of went more with that lore. So there's the standard wing version with the four legs that obviously people are familiar with. But there's also another one. It's a serpent that's wingless with no legs. So it's a snake. It's a giant snake, basically. Like a sea serpent is what it is. It could be with it also could be a huge serpent with wings but no legs. But in the Celtic mythology, it was believed that dragons were gatekeepers to other worlds and guardians to the secrets and treasures of the universe. They were often depicted side by side with the Celtic gods. As creatures that protect the earth and all living things, Celtic dragons are considered the most powerful of all the Celtic symbols. A lot of Celtic culture and the Druidry symbols will have a dragon somewhere interlaced with it. They actually have a dragon's knot or like a Celtic dragon knot. Um, Master Stoorworm, I think, is one of the most prominent dragons in Celtic mythology. It He was a gigantic sea serpent who always ate too much, and every morning he would yawn 7 times. The town that this always happened near became tired of this because when he yawned, his tongue would dart out and snatch up 7 random things from the town. A meeting was held, and it was decided that anyone who slew the dragon would get to marry the king's daughter. A group of men came forth to try, but were frightened away by Master Stoorworm. After which, a young boy took on an iron pot and some peat, stole a boat, and went out into the ocean to wait for the dragon to wake up. When the dragon yawned for the first time, the boy and the boat were sucked into the dragon's mouth. The boy paddled down the dragon's throat until he reached its liver. He used the peat and the iron pot to set the liver on fire, and as Master Stormworm writhed in pain, the boy was able to paddle out. The dragon's teeth fell out as he struggled, becoming islands. After Master Stormworm died, his body curled up and became Iceland. And that is how Iceland first began, according to the Celtic mythology.
Hmm.
Dragons are often drawn with their tails in their mouth in Celtic artwork. It's kind of like the cycle of nature in the world and immortality. It's twisted upon itself with tails, ears, and body parts weaving in and out of other parts, much like a regular knot or piece, which is the Celtic dragon knot. However, before Christianity, dragons were seen as powerful creatures that were as natural to the world as the mountains. But as Christianity was introduced, dragons began to be cast in a different light, specifically a symbol of evil and the devil. So dragons were seen as an evil thing that should not be messed with. There is actually a story about that. It's called The Legend of St. George and the Dragon. This is actually referenced as early as 6th century AD. So the most famous version of the story is from the Golden Legend that holds that a dragon kept pillaging the sheep of the town of Selene in Libya, or wherever that is. It's not Libya, but it's probably like an old version spelling of it. Yep, I guess it is. Ancient Libya, I guess. Okay, whatever. It is. After it ate a young shepherd, the people were forced to deal with it by leaving 2 sheep as sacrificial offerings every morning beside the lake where the dragon lived. Eventually, the dragon ate all of the sheep, and the people were forced to start offering their own children. One day, the king's own daughter came up in the lottery, and despite the king's pleas for her life, she was dressed as a bride and chained to a rock beside the lake to be eaten. Then St. George arrived and saw the princess. When the dragon arrived to eat her, he stabbed it with his lance and subdued it by making the sign of the cross and tying the princess's girdle around its neck. St. George and the princess led the now docile dragon into the town, and George promised to kill it if the townspeople would convert to Christianity. All the townspeople converted, and St. George killed the dragon with his sword. In some other versions, St. George marries the princess, but in some, he continues to wander and continues to convert. Your face.
I'm so over ancient Christians.
I'll slay this dragon if you convert to Christianity. Okay, like if my child doesn't die, what else am I gonna do? Kill my child? Okay. I tell you. Here's another cool story. So the story of gargoyles. Gargoyles were first believed to be like protectors of evil, or like protectors from evil. So like you see a lot of gargoyles on like churches, like ancient churches,
Yeah.
specifically like Notre Dame, actually. So like if you watch The Hunchback of Notre Dame, you'll actually see like he's friends with a lot of the gargoyles. There's actually a story in terms of dragons being the first of all the gargoyles. So in one French legend, it's great because it's French. In one medieval French legend, it states that a fearsome dragon, I am going to butcher this, known as La Gargoule,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think,
Mm-hmm. Sounds
had
right.
been
Sounds right.
causing floods and sinking ships in the River Seine. So the people of the town, Brune, would offer the dragon a human sacrifice once each year to appease its hunger. Brittany is excited about something.
I'm pretty sure she's watching the Olympics. I don't know if it's beach volleyball or what it is right now, but she's watching the
Something.
Olympics.
um, then around 600 AD, a priest named Romanus promised that if the people would build a church, he would rid them of the dragon. Romanus slew the dragon, and its severed head was mounted on the walls of the city as the first gargoyle. So because of that, became a, I guess I wouldn't say fad because it's still kind of a, common thing to do to build gargoyles. Um, not common, but like for churches and things like that to build something into it. Um, but that's like the legend of how a lot of ancient French architecture has gargoyles built into it and why it's built into it. Um, but I mean, there's so many, like I could go on and on and on about all of these different dragon myths from each and everywhere, but I mean, it all comes down to like what area of the world you want to talk about and where you want to go with it. That's really all it is. I mean, it just really depends on where you want to go with it. Some people believe that dragons have a lot of the traits of a cat, a reptile, a mammal, and like a bird. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously with the wings and like the mentality of a fucking cat, specifically a black cat. Scales of a dragon and like a mammal. I don't understand the whole mammal thing though because like they lay eggs, but whatever. Um, the first word, or not first word, but like the first um earliest appearance of the word dragon, or like the old English word draken, was actually in the poem, or like in the, I thought Beowulf was a book, but like when I click on Beowulf, it shows that it's a poem, so I really don't know which one it is, but like the
I think
literature.
it's a poem book, like an epic poem. Like,
Oh, kind of like the Odyssey in a way.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like it's a book, but it's
So
written in verse.
that makes sense. Okay. So it was actually one of the first written ones, is it's in Beowulf. And Draken actually comes from the Latin word Draco, meaning huge serpent dragon.
Draco
So next time you watch
Malfoy.
so next time you watch Harry Potter, just think every time you see Draco Malfoy, you're gonna sit there and think that's a huge serpent dragon. That's what his name means. Um, I did find out that there are different dragon types and what each dragon type means. I don't know exactly where this information comes from though, so I don't know how true it is. Not true, but like I couldn't find anything else on this. Like I was like dragon types, like what each dragon type means. Like I couldn't find anything. Um but there are black dragons. Black dragons are said to be vile, evil-tempered, and obsessed with death. They specifically live in fetid, swampy habitats. Good. I live in one. I can go find me a black dragon. Um, red dragons are considered to be greedy and covetous and obsessed with increasing their treasure hoards. They live in warm habitats such as volcanoes or tropical islands. Um, Black dragons apparently breathe a poisonous, sizzling acid. Red dragons breathe a deadly fire. Blue dragons are pensive, lawful, and vain. They live in a hot, dry area such as sandy deserts or arid steppes. Um, they are good at tracking. They are large and vibrant, and they breathe lightning, like a lightning bolt.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, let's see. We have green dragons. Green dragons are known for being a belligerent creature and master of intrigue, politics, and backbiting. They are cruel and they prefer forests. The older and bigger the trees, the better. They reek of chlorine.
That's random.
See, like shit like that. Like I'm like, where are you getting this?
Well, hey,
Uh,
wyvern are afraid of naked people.
see, there you go. If you're ever in a forest and you just smell fucking like chlorine, you better duck.
Run.
Right?
What do they
The
breathe
green
again?
dragon. Oh, here we go. The green dragon likes to instill terror in lesser opponents before torturing them to death. He is good at tracking and he is envious, so for the love of God, don't get caught. Green dragons breathe poisonous gas that is toxic, chlorine gas.
Mm,
White dragons. White
all
dragons are
right.
small and intelligent. They live in the frigid, icy climates, usually the Arctic areas, but sometimes very high mountains. They have very good memories and they prefer to travel alone. Um, if you ever encounter a white dragon, be on your guard as he is swift and alert. Your best bet to scare or intimidate him, as white dragons are sometimes known to be cowardly. He breathes a chilling frost. There are other ones apparently, like two of the main kinds of dragons in modern fantasy are metallic dragons, which are good ones, and chromatic dragons, which are evil, which is what I just listed off. The chromatic ones, though, like the brass dragons, are the most gregarious of all dragons and are famous for their love of conversation. They like the sunlight and dry heat, so they are in those areas. They can breathe fire, and they do lots of talking. Bronze dragons have a strong sense of justice, and they do not tolerate cruelty or anarchy in any form. They have a beak-like snout and a pointed tongue. Their feet are webbed, and they have webbing behind their forelimbs. Their scales are smooth and flat. They live near deep water, especially in the tropical coastal areas and islands. Um, Copper dragons have a well-deserved reputation as incorrigible pranksters, joke tellers, and riddles. I found Will's fucking dragon. They live in dry, rocky uplands and mountains. Oh, perfect. He loves the mountains. See, there you go. It's his dragon. There's his. Um, they love sharing jokes and will eat almost anything. There you go. See, it's Will. That's his perfect dragon. Um, Gold dragons are champions against evil.
The hurricane
Um,
arrived.
I apologize for that. Yes. For those of you who don't know, we are recording this on August 4th, and there's a hurricane coming my way, and I just got an alert for that. Thank you, phone. I was so obnoxious. I apologize. God. All right. That was rude. I was about to tell a joke that was so good. Now I got to redo it. Gold dragons are champions of love and justice. God. Name that superhero. Do you not know that superhero?
What? Are you not talking about Andarna?
No.
Oh, what's happening?
Champion are champions of love and justice?
Is that not just like all of them?
No. That's Sailor Moon.
Oh, yeah,
She's
see,
the champion of love and justice.
it's been a while.
It's been a while. Phone, stop going off. Oh, see, my cat got mad. You could see her walking across the camera. She's like
What the fuck was that?
stomping on by.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah, she's mad. Um, Gold dragons are champions against evil and foul play. That's why I was saying that joke because she's
Mm,
a champion against evil. Um, they often embark on self-appointed quests to promote good. They make their lairs in a secluded area such as deep gorges or high plateaus. They have large twin horns that are smooth and metallic and have whiskers around its mouth like a catfish. And it smells of saffron and incense. Silver dragons enjoy helping the meek and the lonely. Lowly, not lonely, lowly. They often concern themselves with protecting the innocent and healing their injuries. They love high mountains and vast open skies with billowing clouds. They enjoy flying and sometimes soar for hours just for the pleasure of it. A silver dragon has a beak like nose, a strong chin, and a pointed tongue. They are nonviolent and avoid combat whenever possible. They are the most sensitive of all dragons. I feel like I'm on like a talk show, like to somebody trying to pick out their next dragon, like
Yeah.
Shrek, like the magic mirror, like who's next?
Yes.
But those are the kinds of dragons that you can apparently see in I don't know, I guess in your lifetime. But uh, you can see dragons in a lot of different things in a lot of different games, like Dungeons and Dragons specifically. Um World of Warcraft or WoW. I have I have a dragon in World of Warcraft that I named Andarna. I can fly. You can dragonfly. Not drag yeah, dragonfly. Not drag like not like the bug, but like dragon riding,
Mhm.
I guess is the correct
Yeah.
term for it. Dragon riding. And I went on a quest to like find, I wouldn't say dye, but like to try to find like a skin that's all black. And I'm still like trying to get it. Like my game bugged out and like the people who could give it to me, like I can't fucking get and it pisses me off. Um, but but I have a dragon named Tarn. And Will's like, "Why are you the way that you are?" And I'm like, "Because I live in the real world and my real world sucks. So fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me live my life." And so yeah, so I have dragons
I
in
love
World of
it.
Warcraft. So, but yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do in video games. But that is all I have on dragons, and apparently that's all
Look
you
at
have on
that.
Wyvern. So
It is. Wyvern was not, there was not much information out there.
I feel like, well, and there's like a part two. I guess I could add this as well. There was like a section on dragons where it said that there is like there's something that you where is it? It's kind of like how a basilisk is like born. So a basilisk is not like the snake-like creature that we all believed it to be. Like from Harry Potter, it's actually uh like a it's a serpent with a head of a dragon, and at the end of its tail that is born when a toad hatches an egg that has been laid in like a dunghill by a rooster
Yep.
specifically. And that's called a cockatrice. It can turn you to stone. So like that much is true, but it's not like a giant snake. It's something that can literally fucking walk on its own feet. But it's derived from a dragon. I mean, I it's a serpent, yes,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's weird because it's like there's pictures of a serpent with wings, and then there's pictures of a serpent with feet, and then there's some without wings, without feet. Like it's I don't know.
Yeah.
But a basilisk is also a type of dragon, but not a dragon. Just like a wyvern is a type of dragon, but not a dragon. I don't know. So they're all like intermingled somewhere somehow. Because it actually talks about like wyvern here. Specifically, that wyvern's like the evil counterpart of dragons, even though in the Western world they are too. like dragons are
Yeah.
too, but Western world makes no sense to me. So,
Yeah, well, because especially if you think about like Raya, which is based on like Raya and the Dragon, it's based on like
oh, that's such a good
a
movie.
actual myth. Yeah, it is a really good movie. But the dragons
I
are all like
cried so much.
good, right? That's another one of my comfort movies that like I like to watch if I'm sick or not feeling well or
Yeah.
just zoning out.
The
Partially,
new
the
Disney
main reason
movies,
I watched that movie was because I love Aquafina, and then like the movie took my heart and just ran with it.
Awkwafina's so good.
She really is.
I like the new Disney movies because it's like it's Disney's taking like the old fairy tales but like remixing them into like confronting everyday trauma,
Hmm.
like Turning Red, or is that what the movie's called?
Yeah, but where she's like a panda, but shit's about her
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, and like her mom is it's like a coming of age story and like Inside Out,
Yeah,
those movies, like all of that. All right, healing my childhood one day at a time.
right.
But all right. Until next time.
Bye.